We have a special two-part episode for you today. In part one, we're breaking down every game this Broncos season. Will I find a way to get the Broncos in the playoffs? I will do my damnedest. Will Ryan find a way to have us lose to every team in the NFL? He'll do his damnedest. And in part two, we are going to break down every week one game. We're giving out best bets. We're going to make you so much money that your wife won't even be able to complain that you watched football all Sunday. Football's back. Dan, play that funky music. Welcome into our favorite tradition here. It's time for the Broncos season preview. We've been teasing it. We've been bringing it to you. It's part one of a two-parter here. We're going through, Ryan and I, every game in the Broncos schedule. We're going to pick a winner. We're going to pick a loser. Ryan, you were the winner last year. How are you feeling confidence-wise this year coming in? Obviously, you were less bullish than I think would be a kind way to say it. I had the Broncos at 11 wins. They won 8, and kind of miraculously won 8 after a 1-4 start. In the preview I was looking at, they were talking about how when they came through, we beat the Super Bowl champions, the Bills, the Packers, and in that full 4-game win streak. It was kind of unbelievable. So I ended up being 3 over. You ended up being 2 under with 6. Obviously, you were the winner.
Victory was mine.
Yeah, but how are you feeling this year? Obviously, I think we should start here, actually. You have Bo Nix on a fantasy team, right?
Yeah.
How invested are you now in the Bo Nix era? You spent $8 in a fantasy draft, and then we have the text message you sent us. You said, only 8 for Bo? And I couldn't have been more excited that you were indignant about only 8 for Bo. Now, to be clear for folks, it is a super flex league, so you can technically you can play 2 quarterbacks, and it makes sense. So quarterbacks are a little more valued. If you're sitting there and you're like, I only paid $1 for Bo Nix in mine. Yeah, it's a 1 quarterback league there.
Looking back on it, it wasn't good value for that draft. There was sort of a late run in quarterbacks, so nobody had any money. But I am invested, and the reason why I thought that was sort of a good deal really comes down to how mobile he's looked in the preseason. Like, if he's going to be scrambling for 50 or 60 yards a game, which I think is possible, then I think, he's a real value in fantasy. I think they're going to get their asses kicked in a lot of games, which we can get to. We will get to. But it's not...
you were doing so good with the positivity.
But that's not going to be his fault, I guess, is what I'm saying. Yeah, just...
Fantasy-wise, 50, 60 yards a game of rushing is
yeah, and it's
value for a quarterback.
He's going to start, too. Like, it's clear that there's... barring injury, he's going to play. So I can't say that for a lot of the other, people that are in that sort of category of he's got the rookie behind him. There are a lot of factors out there. But so I am invested. I will say I hate fantasy football, and I've chosen to just, have fun with it this year. I'm only in 2 leagues. It's the least amount of leagues I've ever been in.
We're in the same 2 leagues. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm really enjoying it.
All right, so listener at home, we are going to go through these games one by one. We're going to, I'm sure we'll have some disagreements. We might go into some of them more than others. Remember, we're going to go through all these games the week before, so if you feel like, we didn't get in-depth enough on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or something, it'll come, don't worry. And especially for those of you who are worried about week 1, that we don't get into that, right after this we got a part 2 coming, where we're gonna break down every week 1 game, and give you some gambling advice there, make you a little money on week 1. And so Ryan, as the champion, I think you should be able to pick first. Do you want to go first on this Seattle game, or do you want to go second?
I'll go first. I would be shocked if we disagree here. This is a big old fat loss.
This is a huge loss. Okay. Broncos country, you know that I have said on this podcast, I want to believe it was fun as hell to watch Bo Nix carve up the fourth string secondary for the Packers in the stadium and just look awesome in there. However, we've been kind of circling this game as like why is this line coming down based on the preseason? This is wild. But not taking into account like home road games, rookie quarterbacks are minus 18 DVOA in their first start. And that doesn't, once again, that's not just road. That's home, road, everything. Basically, the first time you start in the NFL, it's probably going to go bad. It's the bottom line. And I think there's no reason to think that this should be any different. I think Seattle's really, really good, too. So this is not something where I'm going to be disheartened by this beating. I'm going to make money off of it, as I'm sure we'll touch on in week one preview in part 2. So I don't want to spend too much time here. We both have them 0-1. We're out the gates. Where do you think, Ryan, what do you think the wildest take that we're going to see after week 1 from this fan base / local media? Calling for Zach Wilson. Will someone do it?
No, because I actually think Knicks will probably look okay. I think for the first time you got to get ready to get hurt again, Kyle, because he's going to have a couple throws where you're like, holy hell, like that was a tight window. Like he really threaded the needle there. And then he's going to have some boneheaded throws. Like, but the tantalizing part of it is it's not Russell Wilson. Like he's not on the downward slope of his career yet. So we get to like be excited about the fun throws as opposed to just like lamenting the 3 other plays per drive that he's going to make that are going to make us want to run through a wall.
Speaking of Russ, this I think is a perfect transition here. Let's get to it. Week 2, Ryan. We can just go every other. So I'll go first on this one. Fat W here. We're home. Russ is coming in. I think this Steelers team is unbelievably bad. I do just want to say, I think we might only score like 3 points against Seattle. And I think we might only score like 16 here. Pittsburgh's defense is still good, and Watt won't have had time to get hurt yet. It feels like in the middle of the season is where you usually miss Watt, which is a brilliant time to catch the Steelers because they are so bad without him. So I don't think this is going to be fun for Knicks by any stretch of the imagination, but I think our defense is going to have a great time. And I think there's going to be, I'm calling it, I think Surtain takes one away from Russ here. And I think that's enough. Field position battle, we win that. Give us 1-1.
This is a W, but you're talking strategy, you're talking players, you're talking all this.
I just want it on the record that I predicted a Surtain pick.
Sean Payton has had this game schedule circled on the calendar since the schedule came out. He wants to kick the ever-loving shit out of Russell Wilson, and he might want it more than I want it, which is saying something.
You did seem to hate that man.
And Russ wasn't exactly tight with everybody on the team either. So and he's going to be the starter. He's going to be playing. So assuming he doesn't get hurt week 1. But I agree with you that this is a really bad Steelers team. I have this Steelers team 6-11. So I think that they're bad, and coming into here after a loss on the road, the Bo Nix, Hopium, and Russell Wilson coming back into town, this is assuming that the Broncos don't just look truly atrocious in week 1. Wow, that's a sentence. This is a hammer game. Like, find an alternate line, find a 6.5, find a 7.5, like whatever it is at plus 220. Like, that's the odds that I will be betting this. Every way to Sunday.
It's tasty. Yeah. Here is my last question on this game. In your opinion, is this going to be the most hyped we see in Power Field? Like, is this going to be, like you said, the hope is still there, the hatred is there on, it feels like we really hate the Chiefs, but it feels like we've had some moments where it's been like, okay, we need to win this game against the Chiefs, prime time for a playoff spot, and we're just like so much the little brother there now that it's like harder for our fans to get truly up for that. Whereas, like, I feel like the Steelers are going to lose week 1 versus Atlanta and look not good. And so I feel like our fans are going to be like, whatever, dude. We lost to a good Seahawks team. We better beat the hell out of Russ. And people are going to be ready to go for this. Do you think this now supersedes like a Chiefs or a Raiders home game?
I just looked through the schedule and I think it does. Mostly because I just think we're going to go through it all, but I think there's sort of some inopportune losses where, like, if you could pull out a couple wins, like maybe that Charger or like the Falcons game means a lot, or like one of those games actually means something, and it's like sort of the last ditch of like, hey, we're going to have some playoff hope here, and like it really means something, and then you end up getting the crap kicked out of you in that game, which is more typical to how I feel like the Broncos seasons have gone in the past. But I think this is going to be it. Like, it doesn't get any more exciting than Bo Nix's home opener. Like, if you're a Broncos fan who believes in Bo Nix, who thinks he's, a franchise type of quarterback, like, of course it's gonna. Like, this is peak mountain stuff, and I hope he does come out and put on a show, because it would be fun. Like, the city is more fun if Bo Nix is dishing in diamond.
Put it right in my veins, Ryan.
Even to your point, even if we're losing, like if they're scoring 30 points a game, like, who cares?
Right. Yeah. 1-1. We both have them at here so far. Let's move it along. Away for the Bucs. You go first here. This is the Bucs team stuck into the playoffs. Baker, year 2. What do you see?
I have this as a win. I just don't really think that this Bucs team has any direction. I think it was a little bit fool's gold last year. I think people are sort of buying into it, which I don't really understand. They still have some offensive weapons, like Mike Evans is still good, and all those people are still good, but you're still relying on Baker. And I think it's definitely not going to be a hostile environment. So, like, as a rookie quarterback coming into his second road game, I actually do think this will be sort of an interesting litmus test, and I think Bo probably passes it, and I think that they come out with the dub here.
Yeah, I think this team lost a lot of talent on defense. This Bucs team's no Shaq Barrett, no Carlton Davis, who was their best corner last year. And then also the big thing is they lost the offensive coordinator over there to Carolina. And he has kind of been a quarterback whisperer as far as like reviving young guys who've kind of bounced around but clearly have talent. And so I think Baker misses him a lot this year. And so once again, I'm surprised you gave him the W here, but we are both sitting pretty at 2-1. I'm giving them the W here with the Bucs as well. I think once again, this is a win, and I think this is what Broncos fans need to realize is we are playing the second hardest pass defense in the NFL. So Warren Sharp has this broken down, not just by like the difficulty of your schedule overall, but like what unit is projected to be strongest. And you're going to play Pittsburgh, who's got a good defense. You're going to play Seattle, who's going to be much improved on that end. And you're going to play Tampa Bay on the road. So don't have a conniption when Bo Nix and this offense look not like what you saw against the fourth stringer Packers. Okay? Like, they're not going to look like that. And I think this is an ugly win but I think this is a win. I think Baker's going to turn it over a little here. And the Broncos, key thing, 8-1 when they won the turnover battle last year. They need to win the turnover battle, and they're going to play two quarterbacks in Russ and Baker who will throw that thing to you. And I think that's the key here.
Yeah, the Bucs just the Broncos defense isn't going to be good, but you have to be somewhat explosive in order to really hurt them. And I just don't see anybody on the Bucs who's really bringing that to the table. So, well, I just don't. It's a defensive matchup to me. That while the defense is bad, I still think the Bucs are worse on offense. So,
all right then. We both have them 2-1 coming in to Aaron and the boys. We're away at the Jets here. I go first on this one, I believe. I have this as a loss. I think this is a bad time to catch the Jets. I guess it's a good time to play them on their own field because they have a bunch of old guys with terrible knees. So maybe they won't be able to finish the game and we'll get a forfeit. But that's the only way I see us going.
Ideally, it would be later in the season.
Because when you just look at these rosters talent-wise, it's laughable, the difference in, roster talent.
Hey, we lost to him last year without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's bad. I think this is a low point for the Broncos. Also, Aaron is not going to forget that Sean talked a bunch of shit about Hackett. He is a spiteful guy, and I do think we're going to see some discount double check action here.
I didn't even think about that, but it's the exact opposite of what I was talking about with Peyton and Russ. Yeah. It's maybe more so. I didn't even think about that. Rodgers is going to put up 600 yards. Garrett Wilson's going to have 4 touchdowns in this game. That could get bad.
Yeah, I think this is the low point of the season. I think this is
the Dolphins game last year.
It's not. Hopefully not that. God, I can't live through another one of those. Right. I swear to you, I can't live through another one of those. I think that Nathaniel Hackett is slightly too stupid as a play caller compared to Mike McDaniel to be able to put up that amount of points. But good God, Aaron's going to try to audible into some things that'll put up points. But yeah, I just think the talent discrepancy on this team. You can't have almost $40 million in dead cap space and expect to compete with a team that is, I don't want to say as all in as you can get, but the Jets are not super far away from what the Rams were their Super Bowl year, where they're just dude, F them picks. F development, F all that. We're just taking veterans. We're taking on a huge salary, and we're going to go try to win. And the Broncos, even the most optimistic fan, would not say we are that right now. So 2-2, and it's going to be dark, guys. It's going to be 38-10, kind of. Just
we're all in. We're still all in on Russell Wilson, unfortunately for Broncos fans.
Yeah,
in terms of the salary cap and how that's concerned, we're all in on Russ still. So
yeah, finding alternate lines for this one. The opposite way of what Ryan was talking about with the Steelers game might be a profitable thing.
You might do a 17 or a 14.
Yeah. It's going to be bad. Fortunately, they then get to come home for the Las Vegas Raiders. This feels like the Raiders having, as we get closer and closer to the season and more people are coming out with their stuff and all that. Feels like the Raiders are a polarizing team. People don't know what to do with them because they finished well. They have defensive
sort of a
talent.
New coach, but not a new coach.
And Devontae Adams in theory is good. Brock Bowers is in theory good. They have that Notre Dame tight end who was pretty good last year, but they don't have tons of talent, and it feels like it's going to fall apart. You're first on this one, Ryan. Home off a humiliating loss. What say you?
This is a W. This is a game that I think is a toss-up. I think you could have this go either way, and I don't think you're crazy because the Raiders sometimes do come into the division in particular. They beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Like, they just do this all the time.
We can't beat those motherfuckers for shit.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, it's...
Good Lord.
So, I'm going a little bit out on a limb here, but I think that the Raiders are going to be bad. I'm out on them. I think that their coach is probably good, but I think their collection of talent doesn't really make sense. And they don't really have a quarterback. And Devontae Adams was pissed last year. So I could see this going south quickly. Like, Bowers is young. I mean, obviously, what's his nuts on the defense is unbelievable.
Crosby,
yeah, Crosby. And so they're going to put up a good fight here, and I think this is going to be closer than Broncos fans want it to be, but I have this as a dub.
Yeah. I'm alarmed by how much we're agreeing here. I have this as a dub, and I think the coaching is the key thing that you brought up. This is a Sean Payton out schemes Antonio. Like, there's no way that Antonio Pierce comes in here and is like, oh, what a creative offensive game plan the Raiders brought. Like, you know what? Neither team had tons of talent on offense, but they just out-schemed them. Like, Sean Payton will out-scheme and will find a way to just be like, Max Crosby, you're not wrecking this game, and we are going to get the ball out quick. We're going to take advantage. Because the Raiders' secondary still sucks. I still don't believe in those guys for anything.
No.
Like,
and the division,
they wasted so many first-round picks on that.
The coaching point is a really good one, because if you look at the division, like, there's a very clear one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a racial way, which I realized after I said that, but it's like he just doesn't have any experience, and you're in a division. Yeah, you're in a division that is stacked with head coaching experience and live game experience and assistant coaches who have been through the ringer. Like, I don't love Sean Payton. I haven't loved what he's done so far. Not a big fan of his work, but I do think he's a good football coach. So I think that this is a clear advantage there.
All right. Week 6. This is where I predict we differ. Because the Chargers have the earliest bye in the NFL. This is going to be a rest advantage. They're going to be coming in off of a bye. However, I still think we get this done. I don't think the Chargers are good. I think Harbaugh is very conservative, very run heavy. They had the second lowest passing rate last time he was a head coach with San Francisco. I think they're not going to play aggressive enough to exploit this Denver team. And I think this is the first team where, well, the Raiders, but Bo Nix can cook here. You have some aging rushers who I would be shocked if both Mack and Bosa play in this game. Doesn't feel like that's been the trajectory of those two. And I just think that we can put up points, and Harbaugh is not an aggressive enough play caller to take advantage of us in that way. And also, this team doesn't have tons of wide receiver talent, so it doesn't matter that all of our corners suck besides Pat Surtain, because all of their wide receivers suck. So I'm giving us a W here. As bad as we play against the Raiders, weirdly, we do pretty well against Herbert and the Chargers. Herbert randomly throws us a pick or two.
I think
I'm giving us the dub.
I think that this is a new Chargers era. I agree. I don't think that they're going to be like some barn-burning team. I think they're going to be pretty middle of the pack, but I do have them beating the Broncos here. I think this is the first reality check for Broncos fans. And I think it's a rough pill that's going to feel not fun to swallow, is what I'm predicting.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you with anything that you said. Like, I agree that matchup-wise, it is not a bad matchup. And I have full disclosure, I'll spoil it. I have a splitting with the Chargers, and it was really like, I just don't think we're going to beat them twice. So it's really hard to beat a divisional team twice. So
yeah, I looked at this one for a long time, just as far as them coming off this bye. Like, that feels like a pretty big advantage early. But I just happen to think that we're going to beat the hell out of the Raiders. So I don't think we're going to be especially taxed from that game. That was where it came down to for me. All right, moving along. So I have them 4-2. You know, have them 3-3. Now we are away at New Orleans, and I am unsure if Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback at this point for this New Orleans team. I'm unsure if Dennis Allen is going to be the head coach. Obviously, as much as Sean has the Steelers one circled, he's going to want to win in New Orleans, and I think New Orleans sucks. So I think we get a win here again. Once again, this is a tough environment for Bo Nix to go into. This is a tough environment for, as far as their secondary talent with Lattimore and those guys. But I just think, this Saints team, the Bucs were trying to lose the division at the end of the year. And the Saints were like, no, we really want to lose the division. They are terrible on offense.
I think they're really bad, and they hate that coach reportedly. I think they're going to be cheering for Peyton. I don't think it's going to be that horrible. I think they might be cheering for Sean. I don't think it's going to be I think that it's not going to. I think that they're going to look back fondly on Sean. I also think Sean really wants to beat them. And this is the second win that I have for the Broncos that is basically purely based on Sean Payton hatred and spite. I've got us down for 2 spite wins.
Yeah. I mean, I think this, we talked about it with Antonio Pierce, but also we have been critical of Sean Payton's personality and his demeanor. But as far as X's and O's, the difference in brain cells between him and Dennis Allen might be as large as any coaching matchup we see in the NFL this year. Dennis Allen is functionally an idiot. Sean Payton's probably going to pull the old pretend to drop the game plan. And Dennis Allen's going to be like, got him. He is absolutely he's going to run circles around Dennis if he's still there. The only fear I have is that they fired Dennis Allen by week 7 and we're the first opponent and we get the dreaded, God, we hated that guy. I can't wait to go out and play for this new guy. That'd be the only way I see us losing this game. But that's what I've got as well. Then we get to come home for Carolina. I think this is a win as well. So now we're at 6-2 for your boy. I think Carolina, I've been seeing a lot of buzz recently. Carolina's pretty good. NFC South sleepers. They traded away a lot of their talent. And Bryce Young, I still think is bad. I totally get that they got the whisper in there for him. And I think he is going to do as good of a job as he can. But, this team still doesn't have a lot of good players. It doesn't have tons of defensive talent. And so I just think at home, this is a win.
Yeah, for first-time listeners, I go through and I pick every game. I found a wonderful website to do it this year, and it was a lot better than me printing everything out and highlighting the team and then adding up the victories. But I have the Saints or the Panthers 2-14. So yeah, this is a win.
2-15, you mean, right? 17,
yeah, 2-15 must be.
Yeah, they are bad.
They're really bad. It's not a good team, and I sort of do believe in Bryce Young a little bit, but this is 2 years away. You're not going to be good this year, and this team you don't have any talent. So yeah, this is a win.
All right.
At the Ravens, baby.
Yeah.
This is where the schedule takes a marked turn here, where you start to get some. This is where
when I was going through this, when I got to this point and I was 6-2, I was like, am I gonna have this team win 12 games this year? Am I gonna watch what I watched last year and predict a win more? Like, how are we doing this? But then I saw these parts of the schedule. Baltimore's filthy.
I have the Ravens as a loss.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens are one of the better teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that this is going to be an ass kicking of truly sort of unbelievable levels, maybe. Like,
yep. It's once again,
this is a game where if Lamar
on talent.
Yeah, if Lamar has like even a remote tendonitis, like he's sitting. They might run Derrick Henry in quarterback. Like they're going to put out the C team. Yeah, this is an ass kicking.
Yeah, this is a beating.
But they do get to follow it up the next week with just a nice cupcake. So
yeah. So you're at Baltimore, and we both think, yeah, you're getting beat there. And the problem with Baltimore is they are a team that traditionally, if they mess you up, they mess you up. Like
if there's blood in the water, it's
Lamar and them are cooking. Yeah. And also, don't forget a little bit of bad blood between the Broncos and Ravens. Obviously, it was when Fangio was here, but there was a little bit of talking back and forth between those. I don't think there's tons of love lost between Lamar and us and our franchise. And I wouldn't put it past Sean Payton to say something wildly stupid in the pregame lead-up. Talking about like, yeah, I mean, Lamar is good, but I mean, Bo Nix is a pretty good athlete too. We can't put that past him. So yeah, I have this as a loss, and I forget who's going first anymore, but I think I have the Chiefs as a loss away, especially in my schedule where we still only have 3. So like the Chiefs are going to be, because the Chiefs are going to lose 2 stupid games at this point. So everyone's going to be like, dude, if we win this game, we're tied for the division lead. And the Chiefs are going to be like, yeah, probably not, dog. I think they are going to, once again, lay the hammer down, as they do in any game that matters.
Yeah, this is a loss on my schedule as well. I have them 5-5 at this point. It's, nothing needs to really be said. This is the Broncos at Arrowhead. This hasn't happened since you and I were babies.
Yeah, it's not good. Then we have a home for Atlanta. I think the Falcons are really good. I have this as a loss, Ryan. I think that, once again, I think that if you have multiple kind of threats on offense, I think we're pretty ill-equipped to handle that.
Yeah.
You can be like, okay, Pat Surtain, you go take Drake London out of this game. He will absolutely do that. No problem. He'll take Drake London out. But then they have Pitts. Then they have, Bijan. Then they have... And, can you imagine our milk check linebackers chasing around Bijan? Kirk Cousins is just going to drop back and throw swing passes 20 times in a row. Kirk Cousins loves throwing it underneath. He ended their season a few years ago in the Vikings on 4th down because he was like, it's 4th and 10? Swing pass, baby. Short of the sticks by 20.
I think this is a loss. I think this is a loss as well. And I agree with you on everything you said. I have to say, when we went through that division, you were a lot higher on the Falcons than I am. And then I did the exercise of picking all the games, and it is impossible to find losses. You kind of have to just give them a couple stupid losses because they happen to everybody every year. to even get them. I have them 12-5, and I gave them some stupid losses. Like I went back and changed some games to be like, that can't be their final record. That doesn't reflect what I believe.
I'm not picking the Falcons to go 16-1.
Right. But their schedule sucks, and that division is terrible.
Schedule in the NFL.
I have 11 wins outside of the division for the entire rest of the division, I guess. Yeah. 11 wins for the other 3 teams.
Yeah. We the NFC South giveth in terms of the Saints and the Bucks, and here it taketh away. I think that's fine, right? Like, it's okay. Now this is going to be bad because we'll have just lost 3 in a row after starting 6-2.
Yeah.
And there will be some panic.
Well, I don't have them quite that much, but
but I'm saying in mine,
they're 5-6.
Right 500.
Yeah, they're 5-6 after this, which is after this game.
5. Yeah. But now we have the Raiders, and Ryan, I think this Raiders team is truly terrible, and I think at this point they're falling apart. So I have us sweeping the Raiders, even though in both of our franchises' trajectory as laughingstocks of the NFL, somehow they just keep beating us, which is terrible. But I think this is the year we get back. I think we have a competent head coach and we have a plan, and I think that's enough to beat the Raiders this year. And so I think we go 2-0 there. And so I have us heading into the bye 7-5. Which you're already cashing the overs.
Isn't the bye the next week?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, you're right. We have to play Cleveland. Yeah, you're not wrong there. So our whole roster is on IR because we don't get our bye until the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's like team in 1 seed.
Hold on, let me give my pick here.
Yeah.
I have us winning this game as well. I don't think that I think the Raiders suck, and I definitely think that there could be disarray. I think Devontae is probably getting traded by this point.
Yeah,
so
yep.
I think they're going in the opposite direction, so I agree with you there.
And they're a team that doesn't have a quarterback, and when you start looking late season, those are the teams that are going to tank their asses off out here, right? Like, it's one thing if the Bears suck, or some of these teams where it's like, we have our
Let's go to the Browns. Do you want me to go? I have us losing this game. I think this defense is way too good. I don't even care who the quarterback is at this point. Like, this Browns defense, I think, is going to be pretty filthy. And we don't have it. I think at this point, the rookies start to really slump a little bit, and you start to literally see it. And I think it's a talent differential, and the Browns defense is too good.
Ryan, I seem to remember a Browns defense coming in ranked number 1 overall. And I seem to remember old Shawnee P out there pulling the strings, slicing and dicing them with draws, with screens. Myles Garrett, he didn't know what hit him. He said, my God, this magician at the Mile High. And we beat their asses. And you know what, Ryan? Cleveland, we got you a Christmas present. All right? It's called karma. All right? Stop giving $35 million or however much you're paying to people who essentially assault massage therapists, alleged. But also really, as Norm Macdonald would say.
It's not, I don't think it is alleged anymore. I think it's...
Did he settle some?
Oh, yeah.
I know no criminal, but I know he's settled. Okay, great. Great. Then I'll take back the allegedly, but keep the but really part from the Norm Macdonald. But yeah, I think that Cleveland. I don't disagree with you that this has the potential to just be a Bo Nix 4 interception game, and we're just like, holy, that defense was flying around. I just think Sean is too smart to put him in that spot, and I also think that on the other side we could see God's gift to
all right, come on.
Jameis Winston.
I want to see how you got us to 12 wins.
I didn't listen.
Unbelievable.
My ways.
This is homerism at its finest.
It's not.
All right. So now blissfully we get a bye. We get a bye from you spewing about how we're going to beat the Browns.
We're going to beat the Browns. Mark it
all right,
down, baby.
We're home for the Colts.
Oh, that's a win. The Colts have the worst secondary in the league this year. I think
I just
Anthony
talked
Richardson
about
is hurt at this time.
I just talked about the rookie bump too. Like, I think this is happening to Richardson at the same time it's happening to Nix, in probably a worse way, because he probably is, like, his shoulders jacked up from some hit he took in week 2. Like, so I agree with you there. It's a win. I've got a 7-7, 500 at this point.
And I have us 9. What do I have said, Dan?
Ryan is 7-7. Kyle, you are 9-5, right?
Yes.
Yes, indeed I am, Dan. Rally the wagons, Ryan. This feels good. I told people I was going to have a hard time getting to 9. It wasn't that hard. I just had to not support people who do bad things to massage therapists. It was pretty easy for me.
I don't think he's going to be playing, and I still think we're going to lose.
Yeah. By the way, Jameis is the most flammable person in this game in terms of, you could tell me that he throws for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns versus us, and you could tell me he never completes a forward pass and only throws to Pat Surtain. And I would believe both of them. All right, now we've got the Chargers. You spoiled this one, Ryan. You have this as a win.
Yeah.
I am going to take this as a loss. We both have us splitting it. I think this is just a letdown game. I think, I find it hard to believe that we find a way to go 4-0 versus the Raiders and Chargers when that has just not been the case consistently at all.
It's not. It hardly ever happens in the division. This boiled down to me to just be a little bit of like, I just Chargerism. Yeah. Like I have the Chargers when I was going through my full season. I had the Chargers on like the brink of the wild card here. And I was like, if the Chargers are on the brink of the wild card, of course they're going to lose to the Broncos. Like, that makes the most sense possible. That's the most Chargers outcome that could happen. So that's what I made happen.
Yeah. I would like to go back and just flip my Chargers losses. I think it makes a lot of sense that the Chargers beat us off their bye. But now, because they had their stupid bye in week 5, they're going to be dog tired, and they are going to be banged up here, and they are going to be relying on people. And
welcome.
So it's 1-1. It doesn't change my overall record. But
welcome.
You spoke some great knowledge there.
Welcome. Welcome to the good side. The Chargers are
the Charger here, and away games at the Chargers are home games. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, we should go maybe.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go to LA at all, we should make this a trip. But
can't speak that I want to do that. All right, then we've got the Cincinnati Bengals away.
I have this as a loss. It's 8-8 here. This is it again. I think that this really matters for the Bengals, and the Bengals are just way better at football than the Broncos are at football, and so that I think will matter in this game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm trying to find, because really what you said first was the key point. Doesn't matter for them, right? Like, I think we both like the Ravens more than them in this division. And there's a world in which Joe Burrow's offensive lineman injury has knocked him out of this game, in which case I think a lot flips then in that case, right? But if it's Burrow, Jamar Chase, like, that's a problem for us here. And I think you're right that even if they're like, okay, there's no way we can catch Baltimore here, they're still looking at a 2 versus a 3 seed, or like some kind of thing there with the Chiefs or with somebody.
I have them missing the playoffs.
So you think this is full desperation?
Yeah, no, I have them missing the playoffs with 10 wins, because they're third in their own division. I have the Browns with 11 wins.
Well, knock one off, Ryan. I'll tell you that right now.
But that it just speaks to how deep the AFC is, though, that they could miss the playoffs with 9 wins. Like I don't think that I think we're on the same page in terms of the Bengals not being like an unbelievable team. They do have a pretty easy schedule, but yeah.
Yeah, I think they're more talented than us. And to me, this is it's why season-long handicapping. Like, we may have a totally different take by this time, because if Joe Burrow's offensive line injury keeps him out, dude, they're probably going to be tanking.
Also, at this point in the season, you do have to remember that the Broncos are going to be playing a rookie quarterback. So like, it's.
I mean,
on the road at Cincy in a game that could potentially matter, I think it's probably not going to go his way. But it doesn't mean that the season's a failure. It's
you know who else was a rookie, Ryan?
Oh, God.
Jesus, our Lord and Savior. All right, he was a rookie out there at
Ben Roethlisberger.
Right? No, geez,
also was a rookie. He was a rookie and he played really well. I think he won the Super Bowl, didn't he? I don't know.
I thought you were going to make a joke about bathrooms.
Well, I was making that insinuation,
inference
I guess.
As well.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Now, so we both have that as a loss. I think you're right. It matters too much. And
I have a 8-8.
I'm not going to handicap Joe Burrow being hurt. That just feels like bad karma. So then we have the Chiefs. I have us closing out as a W. I don't think this game matters to the Chiefs at all. And I think if there's any way the Chiefs can let us into the playoffs and keep out the Bengals, we are going to see some tanking unlike anything we've ever seen. Like, Andy Reid is going to come to the press conference and be like, hey, you know what? Good luck to Joe Burrow and those boys, but I have instructed our players to throw the ball to the Broncos every play. We are not winning this game at all. I think we're going to get a win here because it doesn't matter, not because we inherently deserve it.
This is another thing where my season-long exercise really helped me with this game, because I actually have this mattering for the Chiefs in terms of getting the 1 seed and the bye against the Ravens. So I do think that this is a loss. I get what you're saying. Like, if the Chiefs don't care, we're going to win this game. But it's, yeah. So I have us finishing 8-9.
10 wins, baby. Let's go.
Is that playoff bound? Are we going to the wild card?
It's real close. But the AFC is kind of loaded. So, and the AFC, we talked about it. It's so hard to talk about because you have Burrow's arm, you have Lamar running, you have Aaron Rodgers. Like, you just have a lot of injury stuff. And, like, obviously, we could have injury stuff too, right? Like, we are so thin on defense that if we have a few bad injuries on defense, we are going to be exceptionally terrible. Like, our defensive line depth is non-existent. So, like,
the defense is bad in general. So it's
right, but that's my point. Is like it goes from like some upside here with Baron Browning to like bleak. Just like, hey, stand back there as long as you want to, dude. We're never going to get there.
Yeah.
Or we're bringing 8 and we have.
What do you think the floor is then? Like, how if a couple things go wrong, what do you think the floor is?
I mean, the floor is like 4 wins. Like, I think we could absolutely go under our win total. I think, you lose a Raiders.
Do you think your scenario is the maximum? Like, do you think that there's a couple wins in there that you weren't given Bo Nix?
The Cleveland game is probably the wildest game that I have us winning because, I mean, like, to your point, if the Chiefs need to win that game week 17, they will win that game. Or week 18, whatever it is, right? Like, they will win that game. But, like, in my scenario, I don't think it's going to matter for them. And I just don't think the Chiefs are scared of anybody. And so I think they're going to say, like, if they can't get the 1 seed,
that bye matters.
They don't
though.
care.
Yeah.
Oh, the bye matters. But I don't think they're going to be close enough to Baltimore or them. I think they saw their float through the regular season kind of a thing, and I think they said that's just fine with us. So
I think that the Chiefs are going to be. I think they can put Kelsey on the shelf and still win 14 games this year. So
that's bold. I think that, like, Cleveland's probably the wildest game. Like, it's not like I gave us the Jets or I gave us a Baltimore.
No, the schedule's not that hard.
The NFL is stupid as far as, like, you're probably going to lose some stupid games that we both look at here. Like, we could lose to the Panthers. Like, It's not like our talent floor is so high here that you're just like, there's no way our guys can line up and lose to that team. We can lose to anyone.
You know that I wasn't. You know that I wasn't optimistic about the season, but I still have them with 8 wins. Like,
that's 2.5 over the thing, and I think it's important to note Sean Payton's never lost more than 7 games since 2000.
Never.
6, I think it was.
Never had less than 7 wins.
It never had more than 7 losses.
Less than 7 wins.
Yes, less than 7 wins. I think
more than 7 losses would have happened last year. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
No, I think it's going to be
the over win total is good value.
Oh, I would not. I'm not going to be spending any of my hard-earned money on that.
Well, the people, long-time listeners of the podcast, knows how you feel about season-long bets.
But even if you liked season-long bets, I have to imagine that there's a better one out there than betting on the Broncos over.
I mean, pretty tough to get the most pessimistic guy here to 2.5 over. That's pretty good value.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I should look at my season-long predictions and compare them to the over-under and see what the
greatest value is.
Yeah, maybe it is the Broncos.
Yeah. All right. So I have us right around. God, if we get to 10 wins, I hope we make the playoffs. Jeez, that would be the most depressing thing, to miss the playoffs by some tiebreaker or something, and just have a terrible draft pick again.
I have 10 wins. Let's see.
Yeah, you said that misses in yours.
I have one 10-win team missing the playoffs. Somehow the Jets get in over the Bengals, even though they both have 10 wins.
Great. Whatever, dude. If we win 10 games, that's going to be great. All right, then. Broncos fans, don't freak out when we get destroyed by the Seahawks, and don't freak out when Bo Nix, the first few weeks, looks bad. We're playing really good defenses, and he's a rookie. It's going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay.
What do you think happens to Sean Payton's contract when he gets caught putting a bounty on Russ? Do you think we have to pay that?
I think Penner gives him a raise. I think we make him the highest paid coach in the league. We love to see that stuff.
Well, if it's like a lifetime ban.
Oh, you think they'd come down on him hard for that? I guess second time.
Yeah, I mean, you fooled me once, shame on me.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I think he could get the. I think he could get Vance to fall on the sword for that one. He'd be like, dude, I didn't fire you after you gave up 70-some points to the Dolphins, dude. Just tell people I had no knowledge of this and it was all you.
But I think all the text messages about, like, let's take Russ's head off and all
destroying his phone. All of that. Yeah. All right. This has been part 1. We're going to record a part 2 after this. So, Broncos fans, both Ryan and I surprisingly optimistic by you, Ryan. I like it.
I mean, listen, I was trying to go in unbiased. I was just going through game by game, calling the shots how I feel them, and I mean, to me, 8 wins is a good season. So
I'm not mad at 8 wins. Yeah. All right, let's go part 2.
As my shirt says, the job is done. we can go home now. Bye. Oh shit.
Lucifer Brothers is a Crab Shell Media podcast.